Hi, everyone, and thanks for coming to this webinar about the factors affecting your solar project cost presented by Straight Up Solar. This webinar will be recorded and sent to you. We ask if you please save all your questions till the end of the presentation and keep your microphones muted. We will have about 20 minutes of presentation followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. If at any point during the webinar you would like to type your question, you can type it in the chat function and we will revisit it at the end of the webinar. And I'm also going to drop a link into the chat function. If at any point during the webinar you would like to follow that link to get started on a free quote for your home, you may do that. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Riley Francis. I'm a marketing coordinator here at Straight Up Solar. I have a degree in environmental science and my North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners license. And I'm excited to work for Straight Up Solar because I'm excited to help people do something good for the environment and do something good for their wallet as well. Dan, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Riley. My name is Dan Hancock, and I'm a project developer with Straight Up Solar. I have been fortunate to have participated in solar projects ranging from U.S. government projects for the Department of Defense to installations on private islands and resorts throughout the Caribbean, a wide range of commercial clients, and of course, many, many homes. Solar technology and installation practices have changed significantly over the last decade, not to mention the price of solar. I will tell you that today, solar is easier to contract and more affordable than it ever has been. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the factors that affect the final price of a residential solar project, and I will be happy to try and answer any questions you may have at the end of this presentation. So thanks for joining, and I'll dive right in. So again, I've been asked to talk about some of the most common factors that affect costs for a solar project with a focus on residential projects. My goal this afternoon is really just to bring you to a place where you can envision a project for your home and give you a sense of the main factors that will likely impact the cost and performance of that system. I'm going to touch on 6 main areas: the type of array that you select, the size of your array, the production goals and site requirements that affect product selection, how the complexity and difficulty involved in design and construction can affect final pricing, the electric utility, and finally, some of the more common options our clients are requesting today. So, ground versus roof. The choice between a ground mount or a roof mount may be a consideration and most certainly will have an effect on cost. If you have the available ground area suitable for a solar installation, a ground mount might be a viable option. Of course, there are cost considerations, and while there are some roofs that are very challenging, it is generally slightly less expensive to build a roof-mounted system. The wire runs are typically much shorter, and that wire, along with the conduit that the wire is enclosed in, can be a significant cost factor. Also, roof mounts tend to be somewhat less labor intensive, and the attachment or racking systems slightly less expensive. However, if you're fortunate enough to have property close to your home suitable for an array, you may want to consider a ground mount. We can generally install much larger systems than what would normally fit on your roof. So if you're trying to offset the majority or all of a fairly large electric demand, a ground mounted option may be a better choice. And of course, if you ever need to replace the roof on your home, not having solar to remove and reinstall can be a cost concern as well. One of the largest factors affecting a ground mount is the distance from the array to the home. We generally need to trench, and as mentioned above, we'll need to run wire and conduit from the array to the home. So the further away, the more the cost. In addition, depending on zoning and permitting requirements, as well as general safety, you may need to install a fence around the ground mounted array. The type of ground can also be a factor. Drilling through rock is considerably more expensive than just augering into soil. In short, if you have property suitable for a ground mounted solar option, I would encourage you to discuss that with the project developer and explore that option. It's always better to say, yeah, I looked at that, than, gosh, I wish I had known. Size, the number of solar panels. So size and quantity matter. For solar, there are some base costs that are going to apply to all projects regardless of their size. We have to load a truck, drive that truck to your home, install some basic components that apply to all systems, etc. So I'm going to use some simple math to illustrate this point. So quick disclosure, these numbers are not real costs. I'm just trying to illustrate a point using simple numbers. So let's say the base cost for your solar system is $100, and we're installing a system with 100 panels that cost $1 a panel. So 100 panels at $1 each is $100, plus my base cost of $100, and your 100 panel solar system is $200, or $2 per panel. Now consider a system with only 20 panels, same base price of $100, and the same panel price of $1 each. So 20 panels at $1 each is $20, same base price of $100, and I have a system that costs $120. But for the smaller size, that's going to work out to $6 per panel. So while a larger system is more expensive, it's generally less expensive per panel. And the thing to really understand here is that often a larger system will not only have better energy production, but slightly better financial performance. Most of our customers are interested in installing the largest system that makes sense, both for the space they have available and the electric bill that they are offsetting. It's often worth considering not only how fast does a system pay back its initial cost or ROI, but what is the total savings over the warranted life of the system. This, again, is an area where project developers can be very helpful to help design a system that optimizes space, cost, and performance within your own energy and financial goals. So inverters. Your inverters serve multiple purposes, but its primary function is to invert the DC electricity that your solar panels produce to AC electricity that your home uses. Beyond this primary purpose, the inverter can also serve to monitor your system, provide you information on how it's performing. It can often be configured to provide you text or email alerts if there's an issue, deliver regularly scheduled reports, that type of thing. There are two basic types of inverters: string inverters and microinverters. String inverters have a larger physical footprint, and there's generally only a few, or in some cases, just one inverter for the entire array. There are wire runs from the solar panels that create a string, and this string of wires is fed into the combiner boxes and then into the inverter, hence the name, the string inverter. This type of inverter solution is very common, and it is generally the lower priced option. It's extremely dependable and simple to install. In contrast, microinverters are designed to invert the electricity right at the solar panel. There's only one inverter for every panel. So being slightly more expensive solution, depending on the environmental conditions, especially shading, they may offer better energy performance. And over time, that increased energy performance may deliver better financial performance. So they generally cost more upfront, but they may save you more over time. Again, this is an area where a good solar project developer can help guide your decision and provide the best option for your specific situation. Roof considerations. For a roof-mounted system, the roof itself is a consideration that affects many of the different components of the solar array. The equipment used in the array, the equipment used to install the array, the amount of labor or time it takes to install the array. So if your project is a single-story home, and we can pull a truck right up next to it and hand the panels to another crew member that's standing on the roof, and all of the panels are mounted right next to each other, well, it's a pretty simple job. There's no extra equipment needed to move the solar panels to the roof. It's a very simple racking solution, and it would all happen pretty fast. In fact, the house you see in the right hand side is a project that we may be able to install in a single day. However, if it's a multi-story home with a complex roof design requiring multiple subarrays, as seen in the picture on the left, that's a whole different story. We may need to have specialized lifting equipment to get the solar panels and racking loaded on the roof. Our installers will have several different sections of racking to install to support the panels, and several conduit and wire runs connecting all of the subarrays. This means a little more equipment, additional material, and of course, additional labor. It doesn't mean that the house on the left won't have good energy and financial performance, but it may cost a little bit more to install. Utility fees and permitting. Different utility companies have different charges for installing solar. All utilities will require an interconnection agreement. The application for this agreement is a set of documents that details the design of the solar array, the equipment used, and how it will be interconnected to the home. It's critical not only to the safety of the homeowner, but also the utility line workers that solar arrays are identified and installed correctly. The interconnection application and agreement are the tools that the utility uses to ensure that safety. Some utilities charge as little as $100 for this agreement. Some charge several $100s. For large commercial arrays, these costs can be in the thousands of dollars. In addition to the interconnection agreement, there may be some additional costs incurred to upgrade your home's electrical system and bring it in compliance with the utility's criteria for interconnecting a solar array. Aside from these upfront costs, some municipal and cooperative electric companies have additional charges they may levy monthly for a homeowner that chooses to install solar. In addition to the utility costs, there may be additional permitting requirements that dictate a certain design consideration. For example, there are some jurisdictions that require a technology called rapid shutdown. That will have an effect on the price of the array. Some municipalities not only require electrical permits, but building permits, and in many cases, a sign off by the fire department. All of these factors can affect your final cost and the time it takes to build and install your array. Again, this is really an area where an experienced solar project developer can help you avoid any unpleasant surprises down the road. And finally, I'd like to talk about 3 options that seem to be pretty popular right now that will obviously have an impact on final pricing. In recent years, batteries have become more affordable and much more popular for homeowners. Tesla entered the market with their home battery called a Powerwall. In addition to Tesla, there are some other manufacturers offering a quality system designed for homeowners. LG Chem comes to mind, which is another product that we offer. The vast majority of solar systems, by the way, are designed to shut off in the event of a power failure. This is a safety feature that is required by the utilities. However, when we install a battery, then additional electronics are included that allow your solar system to island and continue providing electricity to your home in the event of a power outage, making batteries even a more attractive option. They're just looking down the road a little bit. There are some possible utility tariff changes in the state of Illinois that may make batteries a component providing better financial performance as well. Another popular option are electric vehicle charging stations. It seems a lot of solar owners are buying electric vehicles. By combining a home solar system with an electric vehicle and your EV charging station, you may see significant savings over time, not only in your home's electric bill, but your auto expenses. And finally, the picture on the right is something called a critter guard. This is an option that protects the solar array wiring from squirrels that may have an interest in gnawing on wires and nesting under solar panels. So really, in conclusion, it's certainly worth a discussion with your project developer to see if any of these options are suitable for your project. And that concludes the presentation portion of today's webinar. So Riley, I'll turn it back over to you for Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan. So first, I want to talk about how you can get started on your solar project. If you want to follow that link that I sent in the chat function, you can click on that link to fill out a form that'll get you started. Otherwise, if you call or email us, here are the 5 steps that you will go through to get started on your solar journey. First, you will talk with a solar support specialist. They will gather some basic information from you about your home and about your electric use to start the process. Then you'll be connected with a project developer, and they will create for you a customized system layout and a customized proposal and contract. If you accept that contract, you will work with your project manager through the engineering and the design and the permitting process. And finally, when all of that is done, you will set a date for our installation crew to come out and put the panels on your roof and energize your system. And we want to thank you all for coming today, and we'll open it up for questions.